This is The Tea Project with your host, Gadiel and Michelle, a husband and wife duo where they will be discussing personal finance, managing a household, and so much more. Gadiel is a father, husband, a military veteran, and a lawyer. Michelle is a mother, wife, boss. Each week, they will be providing you with fresh and valuable content, so stay tuned. And now, welcome to The Tea Project.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode on Money Talks on Tea Project.
Hi everybody.
Today we're going to talk about the 5 things you'll need to be pre-approved for a mortgage, specifically for a rental property. Quick disclaimer folks, we're talking to you out of our personal experience. Michelle and I have been down this road a couple times. We recently sold our home and bought a new one, so we're quite familiar with the pre-approval process on getting a loan, and plus we're in the same process on buying a rental property. Okay, so number 1, Michelle, why don't you lead us off? Proof of income.
Okay, so proof of income would be anything like your W-2 if you're employed, your P&L if you're self-employed, tax returns, and if you have any alimony, child support, any documentation that will show that information that would need to be put together and provided to the lender.
So basically any type of income. So if you're receiving child support, alimony, bonuses, year-end bonus, holiday bonus, any type of income that I imagine you report on your tax return, that's what they want proof of.
Yes.
Okay, real simple, folks. You got the income, please provide it. The more you provide, the higher the loan amount will be. Number 2, proof of assets.
So proof of assets, this is where they will ask you primarily for your bank statements, any retirement or investment accounts. This is what will allow them to calculate what your debt to ratio is, and any other important financial information. But this is where they kind of start putting 2 and 2 together to qualify you for the amount of purchase on the home.
Right. One of the things they look at when they look at the proof of assets, they want to make sure that not only do you want to have enough for down payment, but you also need to have enough for closing costs and as well as cash reserves in case you lose your employment, shortly after closing. So they want to make sure that you have enough money here to be lent money. Okay. So number 3, good credit.
So good credit, they want to see your credit utilization. Usually you want to keep that below 30% of your available credit or your total credit. Your history, that plays a factor in the all this information is to look to see what interest rate they're going to give you. So the better your score is, usually it's 760 and higher, they'll give you the lowest interest rate in the market. If you have 620 to 760, then now you start to fall in the conventional loan, which is good. Anything lower than that will probably get you at a higher interest rate, but the goal is to get it high.
And there's many things that you can do to prepare for this. We'll cover that in another episode. But look, they look at your credit history. Look, if you just got credit, you've never built credit for whatever reason, your circumstance, then most likely you may not be, they may not give you a loan. But if you have credit for, 5-10 years, it's good credit. There's nothing bad reflecting on your credit report, collections and things like that. Then they're going to look at you as a safe risk. We can lend this person because they really have no history of having any bad credit. So put yourself in the best position. We'll make sure to put another episode out that talks about credit score and credit history. How can you improve if you don't have that in order? So number 4, employment verification.
All right, this is where the most likely the lender will ask for an employment letter. And this is just them doing their due diligence, making sure that who you say you're being employed by is in fact true, and what your history is there. They typically like to see someone who's been in the company possibly more than 2 years, so they know that they're not jumping around. and they verify your salary, your position, and that you're currently employed with them. Now in the situation that we're in, we kind of had that issue where because of COVID, we're working remotely, and that played into our situation.
The lender in our situation, and I imagine it's for many people or in many lenders, is that they want to make sure that the only, like, if COVID was not an issue, are you still allowed to work remote if you don't live close to your job? Because if you don't live close to your job, just like in our situation, we live, how many?
5 hours.
5 hours away from Michelle's her employer. So they wanted to know, hold on, if you're allowed to work remote and it's not because of COVID, you're fine. But if COVID was not an issue, are you still allowed to work remote? And if that's not the case, they include the expense of you driving every day to work as part of your debt to income.
And I imagine there's going to be a lot of people who will probably be doing that, because now working remotely, people are like, oh, why do I need to live in the city that I work?
Right.
Well, but that's just something that if you are in that situation, you'll need to prep for that.
You need to prep for that. You need to be prepared for them to say, but what about COVID? It's over now. Do you have to go back to work? Do you have to live closer to your work? If not, we'll calculate the mileage and expense for you to get to your job every day, even though you work remote. So that's important to look at. And number 5 is sort of like the catch-all other documentation. Just
your driver's license. What other?
Social Security card. Things they need to 1, pull your credit report. 2, verify income, or if they need to pull your tax returns. You're not
committing fraud with somebody's information.
This is like, and also, in any of these 4 or 5 points, they're going to ask you to write a letter and you to sign it. Explain why there's an employment gap between this time and this time. And they want you to write a letter and sign it. And basically, they want to get you not on the hook, but they want you to put yourself not out there, but basically you're the one stating in a written form, explaining these gaps of employment, these gaps in income, or whatever they want you to explain. They want you to write a short statement and to sign it. All right. So, and I imagine this is part of the aftermath of the financial crisis in 2008. Underwriting wants to really do a more close scrutiny.
Yeah.
In order to make sure that you, the borrower, can handle this loan.
So something else to add real quick. While you are doing this pre-approval process, what can anyone go ahead and start doing to start the process besides just getting approved? Like, for instance, you want to make sure you start saving if you're not already, so that you can come up with your down payment, your closing costs, your sinking fund, your renovation funds, and then start working towards a better credit score. If you don't think that your credit score is in a great position, maybe right now is not a good time to get pre-approved, because like you said, it was 30 to 60 days where you would have to then be pre-approved. They have to pull your credit again. So this is something that maybe some tips that you can start now before you go into jumping into the pre-approval process. If you are already there, then it's just a matter of looking for the location, getting in contact with a real estate agent, and then just having open communication, because at this point, even the real estate agent is not entirely interested in showing you properties or whatever. So, but it's just little steps that you can take to start getting familiar with your process.
Right. One thing I'll add to that is, look, the first thing you need to do, I think, and before you try to get pre-approved, is see what you're able to afford. Like, do you even have a down payment? And what are you basing it on? A home that's $50,000, $100,000, $200,000? Because usually down payments, when it comes to a conventional loan, that's probably the loan you get for a rental property, not a primary residence, is 20% of the home price. So say it's $100,000, you at least got to come up with $20,000. So if you don't even have that, I think.
You need
I'm not going to say don't waste your time trying to get pre-approved.
No, look for ways to come up with the money, whether it means teaming up with other partners, partnering up with other people who are willing to put maybe a third or a quarter of it, and then or half of it, or whatever the case is. But those are just things to keep in mind while you're leading into it or in the process of the pre-approval.
Right, and that's a good point. That's a good point about the you need to have the cash there prior to or leading into the pre-approval. Any closing remarks?
Nope, that was my closing remarks.
Well, folks, this is going to be a 3-part series. We talk about the pre-approval, then we're going to talk about once you get pre-approved, the after. What do you do after that? And that's going to consist of having the money there, the loan amount, your budget, location, where to buy the home, things like that, because all that matters. I mean, if you're going to be in the landlord business, do you want to do something within your city or within 3 or 4 counties away? How are you going to manage that? And me and Michelle, we've managed the property from Florida to Michigan, and we did it for several years. So that's something you need to consider when you're looking for the property. So we'll talk about that in the next episode. But this is one of 3-part series of buying a rental property. Okay, folks, stay safe and God bless.
God bless.